Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisco Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Whiteout Survival, we're going to get a look at Alonso, who is one of my favorite heroes in the game because I added him to my roster and he was just awesome. He was so hype, and I'll talk about why I really liked him specifically for Arena and also in Expedition. And when I evaluate a hero in this game, I like to look at, hey, who exactly are you upgrading from? And who might you upgrade to next? And that determines a lot around should you move all in on a hero or not. And most people, realistically, take a hero to 4 stars, max out the skills, and for them, that's done because it is a lot more shards to completely max out a hero compared to taking them to 4 stars. But use the timestamps in this vid to jump to whichever part you'd like. Let's talk about Arena first, because Arena, also known as the exploration game mode and the associated skills, is where this dude immediately made a huge difference for me, okay? So let's talk about this. The first skill makes it so Alonso casts a wide net over the target area, dealing 280% area of effect damage and immobilizing the enemies for 1.5 seconds. Amazing ability. Amazing ability. It's big damage and immobilizes them. Huge. He shoots a harpoon with tsunami-like force, dealing 70% area of effect damage. The AoE damage is very noticeable. Okay, I'll step into a game and show you that. We'll do exploration. And then the harpoon blast. Alonso's heavy harpoon can do some damage, stunning targets for half a second every 5 strikes. Bro. Like, this guy does so much. Immobilize, stuns, AoE damage. It is gross. And when you get his widget, this also has an effect. For exploration, Alonso knows how to share the spoils of his success with his fresh fish meals, healing your weakest hero by 15% with each basic attack. So you're healing a hero 15% every second, because, I mean, he should be doing a basic attack every second, unless he's, like, stunned or something, right? So let me just show you how this all translates into the effectiveness of this Gen 2 hero, because, my god, he is good. And I can't beat this. I've pushed as far as I can get, at least with the way I'm set up now. But let me just show this to you, okay? Here's Alonso, by the way. He's in the middle. That's where I like to put him. In Arena, I put him in the middle. This bottom right spot tends to get ambushed and focused by their like ranged marches a lot, so I don't like to put him there. And I don't like to put my lancers close to that infantry that's going to run up. So this is where my molly is. So I like to keep the marksman in the back because it creates a lot of space to avoid getting hit by area of effect damage from the, Geronimo taking it onto the molly. If molly was over here next to the Geronimo, that happens a lot. Anyways, bit of a ramble, but definitely valuable information. I'm going to take this to 1x speed. I think I've got auto on. I suppose I could be more skillful, but you could see the boom. There was the stun, right? There's like a net that he shoots, which is kind of the main ability. There's the stun again. There's the net. Oh my god. And he's constantly healing, which is insane. You can see him healing himself now. Like, it's really kind of obvious that he's healing every time. There's the net ability. He's healing himself. He's healing himself. He's healing himself. Okay, not going to make it. GG. Yeah, I really immediately noticed how much better he elevated my Arena team. So good. So let's go get a look now at the Expedition. And when you look at a hero for Expedition, that is when they leave your city or you're defending your city, the thing you need to look at is their widget. Are they attacker or a defender? Rally or garrisoning? And if we get a look here, Alonso enhances our troops' weapons, increasing rally troop lethality. So what this means is that in Gen 1, you're going to have Zinman. And Zinman in Gen 1 is a defending hero because of his widget. Now, I happen to not have his widget very high level at all, so that's going to be pretty easy for me to upgrade from. And as soon as I get any defender, I basically, like, I didn't skip Zinman, but not doing their widget as a whale spender, as a whale player, is like, yeah, I've basically, even though their skills are nearly maxed, I've like low key skipped this hero. Skipped is used very loosely. I mean, you got to max out the building skill over here on your Zinman, but and that's another reason, by the way, why anyone was going to be a huge upgrade from Zinman, because Zinman's like a 2-skill Andy in the expedition, and now you just have a 3rd skill. So under the assumption these skills are sort of equally strong, which is probably a bad assumption. Yeah, the expedition skills here really elevate him. So what does he got? Alonso's strength, like a massive wave, grants all troops 20% chance of stunning the target for 1 turn. Okay, so he's a bad joiner. That is considered to be a very bad joiner skill. From here, Alonso's indomitable will grants all troops a 20% chance, reducing damage dealt by 50% for all enemy troops for 2 turns. Okay. Reducing damage dealt. Generally something you want on a defender more than an attacker, but okay. Alonso coats his weapon with lethal toxins, granting all troops a 50% chance of dealing 50% more damage, which is like, on average, 25% more damage, sort of. I know it's not really like that, but close enough. So this is an attacker. He's not really a good joiner, but I use him all the time. And because he's Gen 2 instead of Gen 1, he's going to get a bunch more stats from his widget, and a bunch more stats from his star level, by the way. And plus, because I have him maxed out, this was like a huge upgrade for me. Now, what we need to talk about, however, are your marksman options moving forward. Because in Gen 3, we go to having another attacker. So if I show you this, Greg mobilizes the army under the banner of justice and belief, increasing rally troops' health. So in general, in Whiteout Survival, heroes of new generations are typically an upgrade. But it's an upgrade from what? And whether or not it's an attacker or defender makes a big difference. Often a hero will just be good in arena potentially, but not as good everywhere else. Depends on who you ask, and it depends on what comes later. For example, if you get Geronimo early on and you max him out, this is expensive to get, but like, you use Geronimo for infantry for rallies for a really, really, really long time, because he's going to be like one of the only guys that's got an attacking widget for quite some time. So we now need to get a look at some data here to help us make the decision of like, hey, should I upgrade to the Alonso? And when I do upgrade to Alonso, what's it going to take to be better than Alonso moving forward? Let me show you these tables. All right, so this chart prepared by YBanditY is really, really helpful in understanding how much of an upgrade a hero really is. And if you're using a Gen 1 hero and you aren't even using Zinman, you're using a SR hero, Alonso is a huge upgrade, okay? If you're going from Zinman to Alonso, stat-wise, it's only 16%. To go from Alonso then to Greg is 26.6%, which is pretty major. And if we look at the readout here, for Alonso specifically, it says Gen 2 starts to establish a rule of 20% upgrade per gen, but note that the defense stats are the same as the purple tier. Okay, noted. And then with Alonso's skills and weapon skills, he is great for both arena and rally leading. And I agree 100%. That was my experience with him. Now, if we look at Greg, it says now we get the defense stat jumping up, and it is by a lot, actually, and slightly above the average on the rest of the stat increases as well. So, weirdly, if you skipped Alonso, you would just want to have the plan of moving in on Greg later, right? Because that would give you another attacker. And if you needed it in Gen 3, that would be reasonable. The other reason why you might skip Gen 2 and wait for Gen 3 is that you only get one SVS with Gen 2. Now, look, I feel like I got some good use out of my Gen 2 stuff, but like, I think I get at least 3 SVSs with Gen 3, right? And that's really valuable. Now, I may still use my Gen 2 Alonso in this upcoming SVS, maybe, because I have him maxed out, but like, the point I'm trying to make here is that in these early gens of heroes, they turn over so fast compared to later. I don't wish that I'd waited because he was so game-changing in Arena. But also, I'm told that Greg is really game-changing in Arena. So, but this is not a Greg video. Let me show you one more chart here. Okay. This says, hey, when do you replace your marksman main? Okay. So if you were like maining an SR hero, you don't even have to 4-star Alonso with the widget. It can be 0 and it's an upgrade. Okay. But you probably had some amount of Greg. And if you had a maxed Greg, it's going to take a nearly maxed Alonso to technically be an upgrade. However, you have to remember Greg's a defender, or not Greg, Zinman. Zinman is a defender, and Alonso is an attacker. Okay, so a lot of people give the advice that you defend with Zinman, you attack with Alonso. Now, if you want to upgrade from Alonso to something else, if your game plan is to do that in Gen 3, you're going to need 4.5 stars and a level 9 widget on Greg to be considered an upgrade. But if you're going to skip Greg and wait for Gen 4, you only need to be 4 stars and a level 7 widget to be an upgrade from a maxed out Alonso, which is why I find this chart so helpful. GG's. So, look, I don't think Alonso is one of the heroes I would skip in this gen. I felt like in Gen 3, Philly was a skip for me. Flint was really good, and I'm happy with how he's been performing. Plus, he comes from Lucky Spins, so I don't think you'd even consider skipping him. And for me, Alonso was really great. If you did skip Alonso, well, 1 gen later, you've got Greg. And Greg's just going to have more stats anyways. So you could just consider that. Now, that said, there may be some nuance to that choice that I'm not familiar with. All right, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let's jump back in game. I suppose one of the last things we need to talk about is how you actually get Alonso, and I probably should have done that earlier in the video. But he is from a spending event. He's from Hall of Heroes. Right now I have Gen 3 Logan, but if I scroll down, you can see my Gen 2 currency over here, the Mark of Valor. And I guess I can turn this tip off, right? This is where you get him from. And you can get the unlock pretty cheaply, but maxing him out is going to be either a bunch of money here or a bunch of mythic generals, or a blend of both. Cool. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. I do read your comments and appreciate your feedback. So if you have thoughts on like, hey, is it worth it to do Alonso or should you wait for Greg? I'm sure that depends a bit on your level of spend, because if you are the main rally or garrison for your state, like, bro, you just move all in, like ASAP. But let me know your thoughts down below, all right? If you want to see my other hero guides for Gen 2, I'll have cards in the end screen. Go check it out. I picked out these videos for you because I think you'll like them. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.